From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight,
Wawodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Court of Appeal sacks Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang, orders INEC to withdraw his certificate of return, and the governor vows to challenge the decision at the Supreme Court. All is set for the swearing-in of 58 senior advocates of Nigeria by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, as the Supreme Court marks the 2023-2024 legal year. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu arrives Berlin, Germany, ahead of the G20 Compact with Africa Conference, which seeks to outline concrete measures to boost investments in critical areas of the economy. And the United Nations evacuates 31 premature Palestinian babies from Gaza Strip. Hospital officials warn hundreds of critically ill persons remain stuck. We begin tonight from the courts, where the appeal court sitting in Abuja has nullified the election of Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. The three-member panel, in a unanimous decision, also ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to withdraw the certificate of return issued to Mr. Mutfwang and issue the same to the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, Mr. Netawe Goshwe. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
The Abuja division of the appeal court is filled with political party members from Plateau State, lawyers and journalists who have turned out for the judgment in the appeals filed by the All Progressives Congress and its candidate, Mr. Netawe Goshwe, against the election of Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. This is coming about a week after the three-member panel reserved its judgment in the appeals brought before it on October 10, 2023 by the appellants who are challenging the victory of Governor Mutfwang on the ground that the latter was not qualified to have contested the March 18, 2023 election because he was not validly sponsored and nominated by his political party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP. An election tribunal sitting in Plateau State had struck out the petitions of the appellants on the grounds that the issue of lack of structure by the PDP in Plateau State and whether Governor Mutfwang was sponsored by his party or not were internal party affairs and that they were also pre-election matters. However, the Court of Appeal on resumption set aside the judgment of the tribunal, describing it as highly incompetent. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Elfreda Williams Dawodo noted that under Section 134C of the Electoral Act and Section 177 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it is the sole right of the political party to sponsor its candidate, having met the necessary requirements to do so. The panel held that the PDP violated a court order that a valid Congress be conducted in the 17 local government areas of Plateau State by conducting Congress in only 5 local government areas of the state, and as such is a nullity. While evoking Section 136 of the Electoral Act, the court ordered INEC to retrieve the certificate of return issued to Governor Mutfwang and issue a fresh one to the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Mr. Netawe Goshwe. Agreeing with the judgment, Justice Okon Abang said, unless the PDP resolves its issues in Plateau State, it will always suffer self-inflicted misfortune.
We are very, very happy with the judgment. We listened to it with rapt attention. It covered so many areas. We advise members of the public to please read the judgment first before some people begin to have negative views of it.
But the counsel to PDP feels differently.
Today in the judgment, we did not hear anything about nomination. Everything that was said in this court today was about sponsorship. And of course, we know that when you mention sponsorship, it could be pre-election or post-election. But when you talk about nomination, the courts do not have any jurisdiction to entertain it as a post-election matter.
While the appellants savour their victory, this judgment may not be the end of the road for Governor Caleb Mutfwang, as he can appeal to the Supreme Court. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
And indeed, Governor Caleb Mutfwang has decided to approach the Supreme Court to challenge his sack by the Court of Appeal. Mr. Mutfwang, who described the judgment of the appellate court as a temporary setback, says it will not stop his plan to reposition the North Central state for unity, peace and progress. The governor expressed confidence of getting his mandate back at the Supreme Court. He has asked his supporters and members of the People's Democratic Party in the state to stay calm, saying that he has instructed his legal team to file an appeal at the Supreme Court. And away from the courts now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived in Berlin, Germany, where he is scheduled to attend the G20 Compact with Africa conference. The president was received in Berlin by a delegation made up of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, the Nigeria head of mission in Berlin, Ambassador Regina Ocheni, and other dignitaries. The G20 CWA conference will be taking place alongside the 4th G20 Investment Summit, co-hosted by the German government and the German Business Association. President Tinubu will be joining other heads of state and government of the CWA member countries, bilateral partners, as well as heads of international organizations to deliberate on the immediate enhancement of economic and business cooperation with a view to outlining concrete measures to help boost investments in critical areas like energy, trade, infrastructure, and new technologies, among other sectors. Let's turn our attention to education matters now. The Vice President is calling on the organized labor and other unions to put a stop to the use of strike as a means of expressing their grievance against the government. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented the visitor, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at the 24th combined convocation of the University of Maiduguri, holding for the first time since 2018-2019 academic session. He was awarded an honorary doctorate degree by the university alongside 3 eminent Nigerians.
It is the 24th combined convocation of the Pioneer University in Nigeria's Northeast region, the first since the 2018-2019 academic session. Over 33,000 graduates are participating in the ceremony, with 147 bagging first class. 3 academics are awarded Professor Emeritus, while Vice President Kashim Shettima and 3 other eminent Nigerians are awarded honorary doctorate degrees.
As we celebrate the achievements of the past and current students, the North State government under my leadership remains committed to support University of Maiduguri, fostering an environment that nurtures not only academic excellence, but also the development of well-rounded individuals equipped to address the challenges of the contemporary world. University of Maiduguri will continue to strive for excellence in education, research and community engagement, ensuring that its graduates are well prepared to excel in their chosen fields and contribute positively to society.
The Vice President uses the occasion to offer an advice to the organized labor, especially in the nation's education sector.
For the various staff and students, unions on campus, we must consider ourselves as partners in progress in the honorary statutory position in the university system for optimal productivity and quality service delivery. It is no longer passionate. It insists on convocation as a tool for demanding improved welfare conditions for your members. Incessant strikes are undoubtedly detrimental to the system. As such, the option for dialogue must remain paramount in resolving any industrial dispute. Let me assure you of the federal government's resolve to always keep its doors open for constructive engagement with the unions. To the students of this great university in particular, and all universities in general, I admonish you to keep away from all forms of social crisis and malpractices.
A breakdown of the graduating students shows that 817 students bagged master's degrees, 113 bagged doctorate degrees, while others got a degree from the regular university and other affiliate colleges.
The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, has inaugurated the organization of Tadhamnul Muslim Mosque in Adogba along Iwo Road in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, built by the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde. Alhaji Saad Abubakar lauded Governor Makinde's effort in making good his promise to rebuild the mosque, which also has an Islamic school that will help people strive to be more educated. Governor Makinde, while speaking at that event, said he will continue to strive to ensure religious harmony within the state. Our correspondent, Bukola Oriwo, has this report.
It's a joyous moment for the Muslim community of Adogba and neighboring communities as the Adogba Central Mosque in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, is set for commissioning. The Sultan of Sokoto and President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar, the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, our former head of service of the Federation, Alhaji Yayale Ahmed, and top Islamic clerics and government functionaries in the state are present for the grand inauguration. The host governor, Seyi Makinde, in 2019 had promised to rebuild the mosque from its personal resources after pulling down the former structure to allow for the development of the Iwo Road bus terminals. And a few years later, it's a promise kept. For Governor Makinde, it is imperative to cater for people's spiritual needs, just like their physical needs.
This edifice here is not just for show. It's not just for you to come and pray. It is to pave the way for us to go meet our Maker peacefully, to also ensure that we have a place where we can come to thank the Almighty Allah for keeping us.
And for the Sultan of Sokoto, the structure serves as an encouragement of religious tolerance and harmony among the people.
So education is very important. Let's use such facilities, educate ourselves, educate our brothers and sisters so that we live peacefully with one another. Peaceful coexistence is of utmost importance for us. We want to live peacefully. Whether you believe in God or you don't, we don't care, but let's live peacefully. Let me do what I should do as a Muslim, and you do your own as whatever religion you choose, because religion is between you and Almighty Allah, not between you and anybody. But when you worship Allah, He alone will give you what He decides.
The new mosque is equipped with an Arabic school, Islamic model school, a library, research center, and an event hall. Bukola Oriwo, Channel Television News.
In part two, after the break, Channels Television's data analyst Babajide Ogusowo joins us to discuss how well the present administration has performed in the area by its campaign promises. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our main stories. Court of Appeal sacks Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang, orders INEC to withdraw his certificate of return, and the governor vows to challenge the decision at the Supreme Court. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu arrives Berlin, Germany, ahead of the G20 Compact with Africa conference, which seeks to outline concrete measures to boost investment in critical areas of the economy. And United Nations evacuates 31 premature Palestinian babies from Gaza City's hospital, but officials warn the hundreds of critically ill persons remain stuck. to election matters now. With the off-cycle elections now over, the governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahya Bello, is calling for unity among the various tribes in the state. Addressing a stakeholders meeting at the government house in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, Governor Bello says the party won the election squarely despite the politics of ethnicity canvassed by some candidates. Governor Bello also applauded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the support he gave the All Progressives Congress in the state to enable the party win the November 11 governorship election.
Of the departed local government chairman of
A minute silence was first observed for the repose of the soul of the Lokoja local government chairman, Mohammed Danasabi, who died on the eve of the Kogi governorship election.
May his gentle soul rest in the bosom hands of Almighty Allah.
At the stakeholders meeting held at the Lord Lugard House, Governor Bello applauds President Tinubu for his support during the elections. He reminded the leaders of the party of how his administration fought hard, lifted them from nothing and revived their political careers.
We did everything. Even if there is nothing, you should have considered some of those goods that were done to each and every one of you. I'm saying this so that the misrepresentation from you, the current leaders of Igala Nation, that you are misrepresenting me, myself, Alhaji Hayabelu, I will tell the world by myself. Nobody should tell my story. I will tell the story myself.
The governor takes his time to highlight the achievements of his administration as he prepares to bow out of office.
Is it openness, accountability, and transparency? You are in government. Well represented, no inhibition, you are never deprived of knowing what is happening in government to tell your people, even the blind should be able to feel the level with which this government impacted on the lives of your people.
One after the other, the stakeholders criticized the politics of ethnicity canvassed by some candidates as the party considers sanctioning those who worked against the interest of the party.
We will undertake what we have not been doing in the past, i.e. doing a postmortem of the election to identify those that betray the party and apply appropriate sanction.
Kogi, we have almost 14 or 13 ethnic groups in Kogi, and the major are 3. And Igala have been having it. Apart from Abubakar Audu, the other Igalas that have been having, what have they done for Kogi?
The meeting was attended by party supporters, Deputy Governor of the state, the governor-elect and his running mate, federal and state legislators, including local government chairmen.
Time is neither a friend nor an enemy. The morning of May 29, 2023 was not just another chapter of Nigeria's book of democracy. It was the moment that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared in his inauguration speech that security will be the top priority of his administration. Now, the question tonight is how much has the president achieved with his security promises in 6 months? Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share insights. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening, Anne.
But earlier this week, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, called for patience on the part of citizens when it comes to security. What do you make of that?
It's called for patience, but the first question we should ask is, how much time does the president really have? And I'd like to quickly talk to you about the parable of the pebbles. And I'll explain what that is. May 29, 2023, when the president was sworn in, 4-year term, if you look at it from the days perspective, that's 1,460 days. Today, Anne, represents day 174. Now, according to the parable of the pebbles, this 10 pebbles represents the amount of time the president has. And based on today, 174 days out of 1,460 days, the president has spent 12% of his time, so that is out of it. The parable of the pebbles continues, and the 2023 budget wasn't the president's budget, that's why he asked for supplementary. In simple terms, 2023 is not the president's year, so no time. Neither is 2027 because we know the elections will come in February. No time. It goes on further. The Independent National Electoral Commission will announce elections for the next presidential election in February 2026. And we know that once the elections are called, once the timetable is called, it's really not time for governance. Again, no time. If you follow Nigeria's democracy in the last 24 years, you will realize that we spend about 10% of the time in bickering between the National Assembly, Executive, Judiciary. So that takes about 10% of the time. Time gone. And clearly, the president is going to work with ministers, ministries, defense and agencies. They do not work on weekends. Saturdays, Sundays out. And if you understand mathematics, Saturdays, Sundays represent 28% of the calendar time. So in simple terms, what I'm talking about, Anne, is all of this is already time spent. The president really has only this amount of time left to achieve his security promises. And so the president needs to understand the urgency. It is not to look at it from the 4-year perspective, it's to look at it from the parable of the pebbles and to see that most of his time has been spent. And so the urgency is, yes, the NSA is asking for more time. That is his call. Perhaps that is the right thing to do to make sure there isn't much pressure on the president. But the reality is the president has already spent most of his time.
But when you look at the facts made on these promises by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on security especially, how much has he achieved so far?
Looking at his promises, there are about 7 things that we see as that today is achieving. There are about 12 things that we see that still needs significantly a lot of work to be done on. But let's start with the 7 security promises he made that we see some level of energy and some level of progress on those 7 security promises. But before we look at the other promises he has made that we feel still need significant work to be done. And if we take a look at those promises that we believe and the evidence shows that he's achieving, it lets you see that, yes, the president perhaps is taking some of these promises seriously. We see intelligence-driven security programs. This week that just ended was the annual conference of the Chief of Defense Intelligence Conference that had a lot of national security leaders coming to deliberate. So we see intelligence-driven security programs, which was one of the president's promises. We see that happening. We see the president committing to more health insurance cover for families of fallen heroes. We clearly have seen the expanded use of the database, the National Identity Database, which was one of his promises. Collaboration with neighbors. We've seen leaders of security agencies take trips to Asia, Europe. We've seen the ECOWAS dialogues that are happening. So we've seen that promise being achieved. We've seen the NSCDC also making more inroads into providing VIP commitments. And if we also now take a look at those other areas that are underperforming, we see that there are still a lot of areas that the president promised that nothing has been done. Special housing program for the armed forces, nothing much has been done on that. Collaboration on security with state governments, we still expect the president to fulfill that, and we need to see more energy on that. Improved crime prevention, another promise. We need to see more on that. And looking at the Niger Delta, the president talked about reestablishment of aquacultural activities in the Niger Delta region and doing a lot of the oil cleanup. That still hasn't seen traction. So what we've seen overall is President is achieving in about 7 areas and underachieving, which we expect him to significantly improve on in these 12 areas that are in front of us.
Now, for any nation, the use or the need for weapons can never be overemphasized. How much is being achieved when it comes to local manufacturing of weapons in the country? And
that's a big area, and where we see some risk. And if we take a look at what we classify as areas where the president needs to even put an extra attention on, we see that local manufacturing of weapons, the president feels is a short-term plan, but the reality shows that we need to see our local manufacturing, our self-sufficiency in manufactured weapons should actually be more of a long-term plan than a short-term plan. Recruitment, another promise the president made on security that is at risk because no accommodation. If there's no accommodation, it is hard for you to recruit. And clearly, investment in air defense. We understand that this air assets are going to have to be purchased in dollars, and we know right now the situation of the dollars. But one area we also need to focus on, perhaps in the final analysis, is what do the citizens really say about security? Apart from the president's promises, which we've looked at, areas where he's achieving, underachieving, and areas that we feel are at risk, we need to look at what are the citizens saying. How do the citizens feel? And if we take a look at the polls, looking at what has happened in the last 6 months, the question asked to citizens, is security improving across the 6 geopolitical regions? These are their answers. When the president appointed the service chiefs in June, families in the Northwest, 41% of those families said they felt safe. Those numbers haven't changed 6 months after the same. In the North Central, 39% felt safe. We've seen improvements in the North Central. More families are saying they feel safe. In the Northeast, it was 57%. We've seen that drop to 52%. But we've seen families say, especially families in the Southwest, South, and Southeast, saying that security has improved and they feel safer. So overall, from the citizens' perspective, 4 regions say they feel safer compared to 6 months ago. 1 region is in the red, and 1 region remains unchanged. So those are the perspectives. First is to look at it from the perspective of the promises from the president, which we've seen the areas is achieving, areas is underachieving, and the areas that are at risk. And then we've also seen what the citizens say. But Anne, in the final analysis, let's not forget the parable of the pebbles. The president has less time than he thinks he has. In simple terms, the president has already spent most of his time.
All right, thank you very much. Babajide Ogunsowo, I mean, security is a big deal. We always will advocate for safety of the citizens. Thanks a lot. Babajide Ogunsowo is the founder.
I've spent most of my time.
Of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data consultant. I hope I can take that home to my aquarium. All right, still ahead on the news at 10. NDLEA arrests drug kingpin 7 years after his escape from prison on conviction of drug dealing. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's head to Imo State now, where the State House of Assembly has passed a vote of confidence on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and security operatives for conducting a free, fair, and credible election in the state. At a plenary session in the hallowed chambers of the Imo State House of Assembly, the lawmakers commended the governor for his performance, which they believe led to his victory at the polls. Meanwhile, some civil society groups in Imo State are divided on the conduct and the outcome of the governorship election in the state.
Following the issuing of certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission to Governor Hope Uzodinma as winner of the Imo State governorship election, commendations have continued to pour in, and the latest is from members of the State House of Assembly. At one of its plenary sessions, lawmakers applaud the governor for his performance in the last 4 years, which they believe positioned him to win the election. They also pass a vote of confidence on INEC and security operatives for the conduct of the exercise.
This Honorable House do commend and congratulate the governor, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma, for his victory on the November 11, 2023 election in the 27 local governments of Imo State, which has never been recorded in the history of Imo State. Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Ayes has it.
In the same vein, a group under the auspices of the Imo State Joint Parliament, comprising of past lawmakers in the state, also congratulate the governor for his victory at the polls.
The entire members of the Imo State Joint Parliament heartily congratulate our leader and grand patron, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma on his last live victory. Sir, your re-election as Executive Governor of Imo State is a proof that truly one good time deserves another.
Meanwhile, some civil society groups who monitored the election have mixed reactions on the conduct.
We are stating clearly that in every polling unit, outside the polling units that were cancelled by the INEC, there were elections that held, INEC came out in time, the security agencies were there in their numbers to protect the citizens. The masses had confidence in the promise the governor kept that there will be security to guide and protect every voter.
The election was marked by gross irregularities characterized by vote buying and physical attack on persons who were asked to exercise their franchise.
Having received his certificate of return, residents look forward to January 15, 2024 for the official inauguration of Governor Hope Uzodinma's new term in office.
The Director General of the National Biotechnology Development Agency of Nigeria, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, says that Nigeria does not need to import any food with the adoption of modern technologies. He explains that science will continue to play a leading role in providing food for the nation's population. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television, Professor Mustafa laid fears of many who are concerned about the consumption of organic and inorganic foods.
Remember, if you want to introduce guava into lemon, you cut this and you add this and then you perceive the smell. And there are a lot of ways that you do manipulation to find a result. Or if you have German Shepherd, you wanted to cross it with Nigerian breed, you have to follow some certain ways. That is biotechnology. We have brought a variety of beans that is insect resistant, high yielding, and even drought resistant. So when you look at this value that we have added, remember some years back, if you are following the story, for example, 3 years ago, we had to even import beans from Ghana. And that year, the Ghanaian president made pronouncement that they need their beans in Ghana. So they are not selling outside the country, which means the deficit that we have, because of our population, we have to look for beans from Ghana, Chad Republic, Niger Republic, and many other countries. However, if you go and do your finding this year, you know, even with the closure of the border, it's enough. You have not had people saying that we are lacking in terms of bean supply. When you talk about organic and inorganic, you're not talking about biotechnology. You're talking about the farming system. Organic, the conventional way, ancient way of farming.
To catch the complete interview, please watch Newsnight on Monday by 9 p.m. only on Channels Television. And to judiciary matters, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, will swear in 58 senior advocates of Nigeria on Monday, November the 27th, 2023, at the main courtroom of the Supreme Court. And this is part of the programs lined up for the 2023-2024 legal year of the court. In line with the age-long tradition, the CJN will, during the special court session, deliver a State of the Judiciary address, as this will highlight the performance of the Apex Court and the Nigerian judiciary in general in the 2022-2023 legal year. The Director of Press and Information of the Apex Court, Dr. Akonde Festus, made this known in a press statement he issued on Sunday in Abuja. 114 applications were earlier received by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee for the award of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2023. Out of that number, 101 are advocates, while 13 are academics. After conducting the specified screening and filtration exercises, the LPPC came up with 58 successful candidates. Out of that figure, 57 are advocates, while 1 is an academic. In the early 90s, the Trans-Amadi industrial layout in Port Harcourt in River State was recognized as a business hub of River State. Many companies struggle to have their footprints planted firmly, and it was a big show of strength to have their offices sited in that layout. But this narrative is fast changing as some major companies here are now folding up. They're relocating to other big cities outside the South-South region. In this next report, our correspondent Deborah Balama finds out the reason for this and how it has contributed to youth unemployment in Rivers State.
This is the Indabros axis of the Transamadi industrial layout. From this area down to the Oginiba axis of the industrial layout used to have quite a number of functional oil and gas, manufacturing and production companies. The Transamadi industrial layout was established in the 50s and developed from then till the early 2000s, playing host to both the oil and gas companies as well as large-scale manufacturing companies. But as you can see, it's almost losing the life it once had, with some gates bearing the for lease or space to let, and the reaffirmation signage that though the company's property is not in usage, it is still owned by the company, property not for sale. The exit of some of these companies started over 10 years ago with Michelin Nigeria Limited, which relocated to Ghana, then followed by some others. Even some of the oil companies that still operate in Port Harcourt do it skeletally, as their main administrative activities seem to happen more in Lagos, according to inside sources who spoke with us on anonymity. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Rivers State is believed to be the second largest economy and the fifth largest in population in Nigeria, and these migrations could be a threat to its economic viability and development if it continues. What could be the remote cause of this? We visit the Port Harcourt Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, FASIMA, to speak with the business community.
Ask yourself.
Speaking on behalf of the business community, the FASIMA president, Mike Elechi, explains some of the reasons behind the migrations as well as their efforts to ensure that the state maintains its economic viability. Elechi insists that the security challenges experienced when most of the companies started leaving are no more there.
Why have all oil companies, Shell, to be precise, Chevron, Total, Ajib, why have they pulled out their management and their hierarchy segment, those who control the economy of the company, into the Lagos economy? You can't take regular as peculiar. This is of crime here. It's not bigger than that of Lagos, where the industries are booming now. It's not bigger than Kano. It's not bigger than Maiduguri. So why do President Rivers State look as if there's insecurity?
Our next point of call is the Office of the Rivers State Commissioner of Information in the absence of an incumbent Commissioner of Commerce and Industry. The Commissioner, Joseph Johnson, unveils quite a lot that Governor Siminalayi Fubara's administration is working on to boost the business sector and create an enabling environment for industrialization to boom in Port Harcourt as well as other proposed new cities.
This government, in the 4th State Executive Council meeting, had proposed 4 bills, one of which is the Rivers State Investment Promotion Agency. It is intended to work closely with FASIMA to be able to administer a seed fund of 4 billion, which will oil what happens in the medium and small scale enterprises.
The Rivers State government seems to be sure that they can get this right back on track. And they will also recover the times that have been lost. Well, let's see how that goes. It is important for every state that is an urban state to have their industries working. From Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested one Ibrahim Momo, known as Ibrahim Bendel, a notorious distributor of illicit substances who escaped from prison 7 years ago following his conviction from drug dealing. Meanwhile, a massive operation at the Efualaye forest in Ekiti State resulted in the destruction of 52,000 kilograms of cannabis sativa, covering 21 hectares of farmland. Additionally, 1,380 kilograms of the same substance were recovered, and another 250 bags weighing 3,000 kilograms were burned. Also, 5 people were detained in Ondo State, including another suspected kingpin, Christopher Onyebuchi, with a total of 1,945 kilograms of cannabis sativa. In the northern part of the country, NDLEA operatives in Sokoto recovered 290 kilograms of cannabis from a female suspect, Fatima Salmanu, in the Tashar Ilela area in Sokoto State, as operatives in Edo State evacuated 808 kilograms of the same substance from the forest in Igboben. The Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency is encouraging men to speak out when experiencing any form of mental health in order to get help as soon as possible. And this was echoed by the Executive Secretary of the State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, Mrs. Titilola Vivor Adeniyi, during the commemoration of the International Men's Day at the Adeyemi Bero Auditorium, Alausa, Ikeja.
Available data from the National Center for Biotechnology Information shows that Nigeria's suicide rate is 17.3 per 100,000, above the global 10.5 per 100,000, and that of Africa's 12.0 per 100,000 estimates. This alarming figure cuts across male and females, which has now become a public health issue. And in the commemoration of the 2023 International Men's Day, the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency is engaging men on the need to speak up when faced with mental issues.
We have curated an initiative tagged "Break the Silence, Don't Take Your Life, Seek Help," to discuss various issues that cause depression and other forms of abuse against men. This discourse is of utmost importance on this day because the International Men's Day is a global awareness day for many issues that men face, including abuse, homelessness, suicide, and violence.
The State Ministry of Health is worried about the growing suicidal cases in Lagos, and the head of Special Project and Mental Health, Dr. Tolu Ajamale, enlightens the gathering on how to recognize and manage common mental health disorders.
So mental health means that you have the capacity to realize your potential, you are able to cope with the normal stresses of life, you can work productively, and if you're a student, it means that in school you can also do well in school, and then you can participate meaningfully in your community.
There's also a message of caution for the youths.
Most of the younger ones that are going to Yahoo, going to ritual and whatever, is because they just want to force themselves to do what they are not capable of doing now. You can wait, it can be better tomorrow. You have better time tomorrow, and better time awaits you tomorrow. Please wait for tomorrow. Don't kill yourself.
DSVA says more attention will now be given to men in order to achieve zero male suicide in Lagos State.
So we are saying that before it gets to that point where the person has to receive, has to be placed on medication, or the person is now experiencing mental illness, we are saying it's better to break the culture of silence and report.
Men have been advised not to be shameful in sharing their pain or report any case of abuse to the nearest DSVA office in their locality.
Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Mo Eno is charging media practitioners to remain gatekeepers for the country, ensuring that efforts of government at all levels to improve the lives of citizens is brought to the fore. The governor was speaking at the gala night organized to round up the 19th All-Nigerian Editors Conference, which took place at the banquet hall at Government House in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, where he was also honored with an Excellence Award in Good Governance.
After days of brainstorming sessions at the 19th All-Nigeria Editors Conference in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, these prominent members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm were treated to a banquet organized by the state government. Part of activities of the night includes a recognition award to the governor. The governor says he remains committed to fulfilling his electoral promises to the residents of the state.
We want to collaborate with you as much as possible to be able to tell the things, the little things we do. May not be too big, but they are little things. And I know that you can help tell the story behind those little things. The little things we do that affect the lives of the common people.
The national president of the Guild, Mr. Izia Naba, gives his assessment of governance in the state through its Arise agenda.
Pastor Imoino, what you have done is to tell the whole world through Nigerian editors the possibilities in Nigeria, the possibilities in Akwa Ibom State. I shall uphold its integrity.
Channels Television's controller of programs, Mr. Ambrose Oko, is one of the 14 prominent media practitioners inducted as fellows of the Guild.
You are now entering the level of where your duty is to uphold the truth at all times, to be honest to your conscience, and to ensure that you live an incorruptible life.
The Guild charges the new inductees to do more in upholding the virtues and tenets of the profession.
And in the world of sports, Novak Djokovic has won a record-breaking 7th ATP Finals title after beating local hero Jannik Sinner 6-3, 6-3 in Turin. World number 1 Djokovic moves clear of retired great Roger Federer in victories at the season-ending tournament. That's after denying Italian Sinner a triumph on home soil. Sinner was bidding to become the first ever Italian to claim a finals crown. Sweet sound of victory. Now, Nigeria's campaign to the 2026 FIFA World Cup is still on a shaky start as the Super Eagles once again played a 1-1 draw against Zimbabwe in Rwanda. The Eagles had to fight back after conceding a 26-minute goal courtesy of Walter Musona. Now, just like the match against Lesotho, Kelechi Iheanacho scored the 67th-minute goal to rescue a point for the Eagles. With the results now, Nigeria occupy the second spot in Group C with 2 points from those 2 matches. The qualifiers resume in June next year, with Nigeria hosting group leader South Africa before traveling to face Benin Republic. And elsewhere, the Falconets secured a spot in the final round of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers following a 2-win win over Tanzania at the MKO Abiola Stadium in Abuja. Goals by Janet Akekoromowe and Comfort Folorushaw gave Nigeria a 3-2 aggregate win, having drawn the first leg 1-1 in Dar es Salaam. The Falconets will now take on Burundi in the final round of qualifiers, and this is to determine one of Africa's flag bearers at next year's Global Championship in Colombia. The World Health Organization says that 31 premature babies have been moved out of Gaza's main hospital and are currently receiving urgent maternity care in the Rafah southern Gaza region. The Director General of the Health Agency, Tedros Ghebreyesus, expressed his admiration and admiration for the health workers in Gaza, saying that he and others are humbled by their heroic work. He confirmed the movement in social media, also saying that further missions are being planned to urgently transport the remaining patients and health staff out of the Al-Shifa hospital, pending guarantees of safe passage by parties to the conflict. It's Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia, meaning that there are hundreds of exhibitions from around the world, each showcasing culture, tradition, and perhaps a few lessons in history. At the Boulevard World, visitors get to see favorite landmarks, they experience unique treats and cultural aspects of these countries. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Amarachi Ubani reports.
It's a long ride from the hotel to the Boulevard World, one which started late in the afternoon, and saw us arrive at our destination when it was already dark. Welcome to Boulevard World, part of Riyadh season this year. Nothing prepared us for what we were about to see. From replicas of movies past and present, we're transported to countries such as China and Syria, where visitors are treated to street-sold coffee or tea and local treats. Then we segue into the Iranian exhibition, where the sale of precious stones and jewelry seem to be the favorite merchandise.
Yeah, we bring it Iran, a stone of Iran, high quality natural stone like emerald, like ruby, like sapphire, like agate.
Even the little children got excited at seeing our camera and wanted to say hello. What's your name? This is Fahudi. So we're in Morocco. You know, Boulevard is like a potpourri of, different countries and cultures in one place for people of Saudi Arabia to get an understanding of the world that they live in and other people who live in it. We also get to see local jewelry and watch the painstaking art of rug making and shoe making. Italy is up next in our sights. It's the home of favorite pizza parlors and the famous tiramisu.
Something coming from their tradition. So we brought this one, which is you just picture the tiramisu, and we serve it the way of the Italian they serve it.
A final stop at the city of love, Paris, where you can see the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower, the street attractions reminiscent of the city itself. Riyadh season is an annual state-funded entertainment and sports festival, started as part of 11 entertainment festivals carried out by a Saudi Seasons initiative that was launched in 2019. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
And the main news again. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja today sacked Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang and ordered INEC to withdraw his certificate of return after setting aside the judgment of the tribunal. The governor, however, described the judgment as a temporary setback, vowing to challenge the decision at the Supreme Court. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived in Berlin, Germany, ahead of the G20 Compact with Africa conference, which seeks to outline concrete measures to boost investments in critical areas of the economy. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Have a wonderful week ahead. Good night.